anybody have a comment or a question to get us started? Okay. So Felicia, can I give you the mic?
So yeah, I was on mute. So it's basically more of a, I don't know, did I put in, it's not really a question. It would be more of a comment. So I know that there's other people in here that are in the same industry in the tax world that play in the sandbox. And in that sandbox, how many of you actually play in the resolution world? And if you don't, you don't. I mean, and if you don't, and clients come to you, where do you go from there?
Felicia, I will come to you.
Well, that's great. I think that's awesome. You're more than welcome.
That's the reason I'm here, to create relationships and help as many people as I can and make partners.
And so that's why I'm asking these questions, because there were several of us in that tax sandbox, but I only heard myself say that I play in the resolution world. And when I say that, I mean, I have 2 degrees in accounting and 3 certifications in tax. My license comes via the Internal Revenue Service. So, and I have an EA license. Most of you that are in the tax world understand that terminology, but I got my EA in 1996. Wow. When it was still done by paper, and it was still, hand you a piece of paper and a pencil and walk in and say good luck. So that's why I'm asking these questions, just to kind of get a mindful idea of where everybody that sits in our sandbox is looking, to play, because I don't want to be anybody else's competition. I mean, I don't think we are. We're all worlds apart, right? Because I'm dead center. I'm in a little farm town with about 20,000 people. I'm 2 hours to the closest shopping mall in any direction I drive, but I far reach out from California to New York, and from New York to Florida, and everywhere in between. Sure. So Ina and I have had the pleasure of working a little bit together, and we've had some great conversations, and I love her to death. But again, she doesn't play in my sandbox.
Nope.
And I don't play in her sandbox. So it's a beautiful day in paradise if we can all learn to share, as this. If I understand this to be correct, Ina, that's what this is about. It's about the collaboration of working together to be able to say, hey, if you have a problem, I'm here to help.
Okay, so Penny, you had a question?
I have a question. So when is an opportune time to say somebody needs tax resolution as opposed to just needing, so I have a client that hasn't filed their tax return for 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. A friend, they just reached out and said, I need help. And I'm like, you need more help than I can offer. There's a lot of CPAs that won't even touch them because they don't want to get in that mess. And honestly, I don't blame them, because you keep running and you have to turn around and face it at some point. So when do you cross that line into, we're into resolution now? You don't just need a CPA, you need somebody that's tax resolution.
So that's a good question. And that's the answer, that I would be that person. And to give you an example of that is, I currently am working with an individual, a husband and wife couple out of Colorado, who hasn't filed since 2008.
Wow. Wow.
So yes. And so as of January, it was like the dam broke and the water started flowing over and it's drowning people. And I'm getting these people that are calling me on the phone and says, I haven't filed for the last 2 years. I haven't. And so in 2 days, I picked up 15 returns of people who haven't filed since 2021 forward. And so doesn't sound like a lot, right? But it is. So those are the type of things at that point, yes, they need help. And they need help for 2 reasons. 1, to get caught up. 2, because once the returns are completed and they are in compliance, what happens next? Because if they owe taxes, then we've got to mitigate and do a resolution of the tax liability. But we can't do resolution work until they are current with everything. That's key number 1. So they could come to me. Let's do this hypothetical. They could come to me. I could get them caught up. And then they could come back to you after they're done. They don't have to stay with me. I'm not saying that they have to stay with me. They just come to me for me to get them caught up, and then I can move them back to you, and you take them over from there, and you do whatever you do best. Another place would be if a client comes in and they've got a garnishment on their wages. They've got a lien against their property, and now they've got a lien against their property, and they want to sell it. They don't have the money to pay the tax debt. IRS is going to take what they want. But the problem you have with the lien on a property is that the mortgage company won't do it because it's not a clean title.
Right.
So you got to get clean title. So you got to apply for lien release. Those are the kinds of things that people don't quite get, that we really need to mitigate, and sometimes as you're doing your client's accounting work, and even on taxes for small businesses, you guys might see this. Are you doing advisory in the concept of mitigating their tax liability for the next year? If they're constantly owing, are you recommending that maybe they should be an S corporation? And if they are an S corporation, are you recommending that they do reasonable comp reporting? Because those are huge in our industry.
Right.
And if, and the other big one is the BOI filing for this year.
Yes. Yes.
Huge. I'm going to tell you now, I don't practice law, and BOI filings is practicing law. That's a legal thing. However, I have incorporated with another company that they do all those filings for me, and it's on my website. So I can drive people right to my website and say, hey, you go do your BOI filing on your own. It's real easy. Answer the questions, bing, bang, boom, you're done. Pay the fee, out the door. And just saying, those are the things that we have to think about that we're not thinking about in the reality world, even in our busy moments of tax practice. We are inundated with tax returns, right? People constantly on the phone and wanting this and wanting that. Where's my return? Well, don't do just simple returns as a norm, but even the non-simple returns. I got you all my data. Why don't I have my return? Well, come on, take a breath. Deep dive in with me. I gotta make sure it's right. We gotta make sure we've done our due diligence. So and then we want to look at it and go, okay, how can we mitigate next year's liability?
Right.
What can we do to help them not pay as much in tax next year? Some people will buy into that, Ina, as you well know. Some people will just, I think they hide their head under the pillow or in the sand. They become an ostrich. We had a lot of ostriches out there, right? Ostrich buried some head in the sand, out of sight, out of mind. My daddy used to always say, if you can't see me, I can't see you, so it doesn't really matter. The IRS doesn't quite look at it that way.
No.
And it's not the way it works in today's world. And if you want help, you got to ask for it.
Right.
So Penny, if you have somebody that that hasn't filed, more than happy to take them on as a resolution client. Now, it's not just a tax preparation client. They do become a resolution client at that point.
Yeah. They need it.
No, I mean, and she's totally right. I'm a fractional CFO. I call myself a trusted accounting advisor because for small businesses, it's a little bit better. They can understand that concept a little bit better. And I insist and attend the meetings in September with my clients and their tax preparer so we can go over what's happened during the year. There's still just enough time in the end of the year to make any, you can't always have the total impact of this tax strategy, but you can at least get started on it.
So yeah, and that's good. That's a good thought pattern, because if let's say they don't have a SEP and that's what they're going after, they have to have that done before October 15th in order to make it viable for that current year. So if you're meeting in September, you have a month before the deadline hits that you can still get it set up and funded for the current year. So absolutely on point, Ina, on point. So
Stefan, you had a question?
It wasn't a question. It was more about the fact what Felicia said. I am over here. I will play in everybody's sandbox, but I will help everybody in the same time. Why do I help everybody in the same time? I have 2 international companies, right? What I do in Stefan Financial and Management, besides the fact that we have an entire department of financial management, accounting, taxes, we have an entire department that's doing business consulting and coaching. on a holistic way, which is totally different from individual perspectives. And the reason why I say that is only with my background, with a bachelor's in finance, a master's in business administration, and a master's in human resources, I can see every backbone of every business and see what's working right and what's not working right. At the same time, I'm doing import export between United States and Europe, and I build factories in United States and in Europe for my customers. At the same time, I have an employment agency. We either you want to outsource to Eastern European your data entries and all these little things, which works with me, uh, or I can provide employees to the companies in United States. And I'm not the type of company that I'm gonna charge 15% or 20% for one employee. I charge $1 an hour for each hour worked by an employee that I provide.
Nice.
So from internships to SOPs to organizational development, and at the same time with these two companies together and with a lot of partners, I'm opening an entire networking event in person too.
Great,
So,
great. Well, I think Felicia brought this up earlier about, the sort of the intent of the group is to really, I call them my SMEs, my subject matter experts. So I would, consider Felicia one of those experts. And I've talked with JV as well. And so, I consider him an expert. And so if I know, and also Stefan, if I know of somebody that it's a client or just someone that I know that needs assistance in an area that's not my primary area of focus, I know enough to say, you need the right person, and I've got that person for you. So I think we have to remember that we have our clients and what we do for them, what our expertise is, but we also want to be that trusted advisor for them as well. And sometimes, it can be any number of things. I've actually referred like a carpet cleaner before. I belong to a group named BNI. And, it's just getting that relationship with people, because then they get good service from the carpet cleaner. When something comes up that might be business related or accounting or, any of you people or Yvette, like, some investment type of things, they'll go, oh yeah, maybe I could call Ina. So I want to be a resource for my clients.
Absolutely.
I don't, because I feel like small businesses are so massively underserved. They just don't know what they don't know, and it's not their fault. But it's all of people like us that need to be there and say, hey, we're here to support you, to make your business better, to help you be in a place that you're scalable and you can grow. So now, JV, what do you think that your clients are looking for or seeing in the whole website area? One thing that I just was made aware of was the whole ADA compliance that you need to have. So maybe you could speak about that, because I knew nothing about that.
Sure. Thank you for that. So a lot of companies are getting sued or getting issues into compliance issues in, about ADA, right? Which stands for Americans with Disabilities Act. And it's widely used by government agencies, of course. They have to be the first example of using that. And private companies, even the small ones, are getting into same or similar issues of discriminating those that are unable to consume the content on your website because they're not ADA compliant. So it could run from websites that have bad contrast between the images and the text, or simply the colors of text and the background, and even like one of the biggest things is being able to provide text-to-speech capabilities with your websites. And I could talk so much about ADA compliance, but it's like a whole new world. And it's like if web design is one world, then ADA compliance is another. So there's just a lot of things. And,
it is, because I dealt with it I had to hire a lawyer to do all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Right.
how much work it entails to create your website into an ADA compliance subject, right? And it's just one of the things, and it involves a lot of work, and it involves a lot of time, and it's going to be a great investment because you're not going to run into issues into legal. Yeah.
So when I was researching it, it seems like there's a lot of companies out there that offer that service. First you can do like a free scan, but then it seems like the price is like $49 a month that you pay to keep it up. So what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
So you would see a lot of options offering like $49.99 or stuff like that. And what they would do is they would install a plugin or an app to your website that makes it compliant. But what it is really is it's a band-aid solution. It's not really making the website ADA compliant, but like here's the wound, here's the band-aid, and then okay, you're fine for now until you're ready for a redesign. And oftentimes, I mean, it's not bad to have that. It's a good solution if you're not ready to redesign your website yet, because it's gonna cost a lot to redesign a full website. But like what I personally prefer to do it, I don't install these plugins, I don't install these apps, but I design the website inside and out as ADA compliant. So flip it over, turn it around, it's gonna be compliant. And that's the best solution for my.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you were to do, like if I have my website now, and if I were to add additional web pages, would they then not be ADA compliant? Would it not?
Well, it depends on how it's structured. If it's hard to access, then it's going to run into some issues. And then if it's hard to read, most importantly, then that's an issue.
Interesting. Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. So do we have any other questions or comments or ideas, thoughts? With your clients, what seems to be top of mind with them? It's kind of going to be a crazy 2024 for lots of reasons. So thoughts on that?
Well, I'll jump in. I will say that my calling on companies, where's my camera? I apologize. I'm moving around here. But everyone is concerned about the economy. They're concerned about what's next. The ERTC program, if you're familiar with that here in the U.S., just recently ended. And if you didn't get the PPP or the ERTC or the EIDL, companies are looking for ways that they can actually save and actually make more. And we've got a program, the SMERT program, that a lot of people are not familiar with. But back under the ACA Compliance Act 10 years ago or so, the government created a program that if companies would actually implement a wellness program, that they could actually save up to $639 per full-time W-2 employee, and could actually save up to 30% on their workers' comp. And so, we're finding that, companies are looking for as many ways that they can save without it costing them, as well as the issues of attraction of new employees, the retention of those employees, are all top of the mind, for these companies. And BOI is, like someone mentioned, is top of the mind as well. So a lot going on right now, but we're trying to provide solutions for these companies where they will be able to take advantage of some of the tax savings that are out there and improve their bottom line, at the same time providing benefits for their employees. So that's what I'm seeing.
Interesting. So, Stefan, I have a question for you because you deal with a lot of international people. I met with a lawyer yesterday, and he does trusts specifically for people in other countries, like where maybe the grandparents started the business, and then, maybe the grandchildren came to America to get their education, and now they're going back, and they need to have everything set up. So, do you find that is a need in some of your clients?
The trust? No, not right now. I know what you're talking about, and I know exactly what you are saying. A lot of people do need it. I mean, being with National University and working with National University also at this time, a lot of people come from overseas just for a couple of classes to take with National University, and they don't really need that trust all the time, because they can just use a credit card or you understand what I'm trying to say.
Sure. But as far as like, maybe later on the transfer of wealth. So in other countries, do they already have that set up probably?
With my customers, I'm not setting up trust for them. I mean, if nobody asked me until now to do that for them.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious.
Because they already have, like, I am working with 3 companies right now for import-export, and I'm building them 3 factories in Romania because they want to keep their factories over here, but to save money for the European market, they are building new factories in Europe, in Romania. And we just work through banks. That's it. Nothing else. We don't use trust because they save money on their investments and their taxes go down anyway because it's another investment. And that's what I say to pretty much everybody. It's like if you hold money and you have too much cash in your bank, guess what will gonna happen? The government is gonna come and take some money out of it because it's too much. So that's what I recommend to everybody is invest your money, grow, always do something with them. Don't just keep them over there and complain that, oh, the government is taking too much taxes out. Guess what? If you have the money, they will take them.
This is true. So what are your thoughts about that on investments and those kinds of vehicles?
Investments, what type of investments we do right now is pretty much real estate and business investments. And that's it. I'm not playing with stocks. I'm not playing with Bitcoins and things like that. That's not fair. My recommendation for those type of people that want to do that, go to Vegas. It's right here.
Yeah, there you go.
Have some fun doing it.
And Yvette, how about you? Because you said that you deal with people that do some of those kinds of retirement planning. Are you there? Yvette, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. 1 second, the smoke alarm went off. I'm trying to.
Oh dear.
Sorry.
That's not good. My goodness. But yeah, so I'm
So I had a
finding.
real quick question, Ina, if I may.
Oh, sure.
It was just a comment on, I think Charles mentioned it, about the ERCs being stopped. I don't think that the government has put that in full pledge yet. I think they're still available. I know they were supposed to end on January 31st, but I think ERCs are still available because the government has not passed that regulation as of yet to stop them.
They are still available.
That's what
Right.
I
I
thought.
think 2020 though is no longer available.
And that may be, but still, there's nothing we have not seen. And I was just talking to an ERC provider the other day, and they're still there. So just note that
They are.
even though they said they were going to stop everything January 31st, it did not stop on the 31st.
Right. And I think people, and that's an area where people really need all of us to have a good person to recommend. Because in the ERC area, I can't tell you how many scammers or how many people will charge, 30%, 40% when they should be charging maybe 15%, and they don't let people know that it really can take 10 months or more to get your money, and they come in tranches. They don't come all at once. So, there's a lot more to it. And I think that's what, people are hearing more about is the people that really jumped in and saw it as a, get rich quick type of thing, scamming people. So, we just need to be really diligent, and that's what I was talking about before that, business owners just don't know what they don't know. And so that's where, I can meet all of you people and be able to ask, like Felicia, like you said, that question, and Charles, the credit that you talked about as well. And, I talked to somebody else about the 179 credit, which is where you can, fully expense some equipment or something like that. And my church is doing like $4 million in renovations. So they obviously don't qualify for that credit, but they can give that credit
to the engineer.
Sorry?
They could give it to the contractor who installed the equipment.
Yes. So can you talk about that a little bit, Gabriel?
Yeah. So that's one of the specialty taxes that we focus on, which is the 179D deduction, which is pretty much if it's focused right now on new construction, it's up to $5 a square foot. It's if the commercial property is energy efficient. It's if you meet above 50% of energy efficiency, it's up to $1. And then if during the construction you had apprenticeships and everybody was paid prevailing wages, and prevailing wages is you could consider it as minimum wage in the county or city that they live in, then it's up to $5 a square foot. And then nonprofits, churches, non-tax entities, given that they don't get the deduction, they could give it to the contractor who installed it, which is good right now for contractors who are trying to, win bids, for instance. So.
Yeah, so it's great, so it's, sorry.
Where do I find more information about this? I have a church that I do bookkeeping for that just asked me about this.
You could give them my information and I could definitely help them out there.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll put my email on the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, Gabriel's a good resource for that. He knows all about that. So that's where I found out about it. So it's like, it's pretty awesome that, it's like, these are the things that, even as pretty savvy business owners, we don't know too. And so that's why these masterminds and some of these, one-to-ones that we're having with people are so valuable, and really having that stable of individuals. So, that's why it's so important. So,
Yes, I'm back,
Oh, yes. Oh, you're back. Okay, go.
Yeah, what can you please repeat the question?
I was just saying, in the area of, what you're dealing with, that, having people doing investments for retirements and stuff, how's that going? And, what are your clients seeing? And
Yes, we in the IUL, we have retirement account that can be linked to the life insurance based on the section 7702 of the IRS, saying that any retirement account that is linked to life insurance is tax free. So that's why we promote IUL for people to take advantage of it. And being that it's linked to life insurance, so the sooner you start, the better, because life insurance is based off on age, good health, good habits, good driving record, good background. So when you start early at an earlier age, you get a good monthly contribution. So it's kind of low, and you get a nice coverage. So.
And is there like a program that an employer can do through you that benefits their employees as well?
Yes. We have the 403B that an employer can get to cover to offer to all their employees. And we also have like single business owners, like you are the owner of you are the only employee of your business. You can get a life insurance for through the business, but protecting you as a key employee. Because as a key employee, if you get sick or something happened to you, the business may not function, right? So to protect you and protect the business, so you can have that insurance to protect you as a key employee. And then in case of sickness, you are the beneficiary, so you will get the money. And then you can use that money to hire someone to continue with the business for you as an employee while you are taking care of your health or any situation.
Great,
Yes,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point about the insurance. That's something I ask, all my new clients about. One, I ask because I don't do the bookkeeping, but I work with bookkeepers. I can do it, but I just don't want to do it. So I work with bookkeepers so that makes sure that their books are clean. So if they have garbage in and garbage comes out, I can't help them with the right kind of strategy. So I say, when you hire a bookkeeper or you hire an advisory person, do you ask for their insurance coverage? And unilaterally, it's no. And I say, well, let me tell you, I have liability insurance, I have errors and omissions, and I have cyber insurance. You need to protect yourself in these ways. You need to ask those questions, which then leads to the question, do you have key person insurance? and they don't understand what that is. And that's what Yvette was just talking about. I mean, that's why the president and the vice president are not on the same plane. That's why, major companies, people travel separately. So you can't have the whole management team go down on one train accident or one plane. That's just not going to work. And so it's like, so they just don't realize, again, it's one of those things, they don't know what they don't know. And it may be a little bit of money up front, but in the long run, you're going to have peace of mind so that as a business owner, you can really be working on your business and not wearing a billion hats working in your business. So that's why you need, like, every one of you to support, them. I mean, that small business can have such an awesome fractional team of incredible people that can keep them on the right path to success. Having someone like Felicia in your back pocket, that is amazing. That is amazing that you helped that person in prison. That's incredible. I hope you put that in your book. I think that would be good for your book.
It is going in my book. We just had that conversation, about stories. It is going in my book because my book is not a how-to book. That's not what my book's about. So it's about the scary things that can happen, and good things happen to bad people, and that's a true statement. Having done this for 44 years and having done this before I even knew what resolution was, we were just doing it because that was just part of what we did, right? Because I started out with an office as an accountant doing everything. I wore all the hats, and you just did what you did to help your clients. And then as I evolved into my world, I thought, yeah, this is crazy. Now, 15, 20 years ago, you realize that's really not. When I started teaching software, it was one of those where, oh, yeah, now I understand what this is and why this does. And, do I code? No, that's not my job. I don't want to. But, yeah. It's, there's just a lot of things out there. And I like the way you put it. And we just don't know what we don't know. And even as a professional resolution consultant, I will tell you that if I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know the answer, plain and simple. And I know you made very good suggestion about cyber insurance. So I'd like to point that out, that those that are professional tax professionals on here, if you don't have your WISP report done, you better get yourself going, because that penalty can be upwards of $40,000 if you don't have it.
There you go. Stefan, you had a comment? Sorry.
I carry cyber insurance too.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, regarding the insurance part, insuring what I have, it was a mission impossible because everybody's trying to insure 1-2 things and that's it. But with the multitude of departments that I have, I had to go to Lloyd's market to be able to insure my company. So it was just unbelievable. But I have all the types of insurance that I need for everybody.
That's awesome. But you had to go to multiple people, right?
No, right now I'm working because I went through Lloyd's market. I found the right coverage that I need. And one company actually covers the entire company.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So welcome.
I was supposed to go 5 different companies just to have one insurance.
Yeah, you have a lot of diverse things that you're doing. So so that's incredible. That makes it a lot easier for you, for sure.
Yeah, it's easier. One bill, that's it. I'm done.
Right. Better, easier to budget.
Yeah.
And JB, you have a question?
Yes, if no one wants to ask any questions, I'd like to ask. So, and this is not related to anything tax, and obviously I'm not doing any tax or accounting, but I'm in software and do web, but I want to discover what are the apps that are very important to people in finance who does like what you guys do, tax, accounting, CPAs, investments. What are the apps that are important to you guys? Thank you.
Well, I can speak for me. I'm sure Felicia and Penny probably have some thoughts as well, but I think a secure portal where clients can share information, back and forth is really essential. I'm always getting that question from bookkeepers and accountants, like, well, what portal do you use? What's the best way to do that?
one thing I found with, because I work with a lot of CPAs, one thing that's become very kind of a big right now is the whole AI chat integration into the accounting side. So for example, accessing some of the information without having the accountant or the CPA answer those questions, maybe gathering some documents like attach your financials, having that automated. So, it doesn't have to be the CPA taking 2 hours to find documents the past 3 years for a client, having that more automated so they can just go on the chat software can get that for them and maybe even email it, and automating a lot of those, questions that they get a billion a day, like, hey, what about this? Or, do I need, what documentation do I need? Or X happened, what do I need for that? Or do I need to save this?
Right.
Any of those kind of frequently asked questions that we used to have a separate section for, I think a lot of people are looking to automate those through maybe a chat feature or something that you can go on without having to, at 7 p.m. on Sunday when you remember it,
Right.
so get that
So-
almost immediately. So on the website development side, I think that's going to be huge going forward. But it's
Yeah.
always good to be early.
I'm a true believer in what you're saying. I mean, I find that my clients, because the portal I use also has an SMS feature in it, and I get quicker responses by sending them, and it's inside the portal. But they don't have to have the portal open to get it. So it goes to their phone. When it comes back to me securely. But absolutely, it is one of the best things I've ever done. And then my portal this year has also implemented the questions. So I can send out a request and say, here's my questionnaire for 2023. And I require them, even if I'm doing multiple years as a resolution client, I still require them to fill out those questions each year because, as we all know, from one year to the next, things change. And especially in the Bitcoin financial world, foreign currency, you want to make sure from year to year you've asked that question, and that makes it simple. So I can send that request out, and they can fill it out right on their phone if that's what they choose to do. And my new client questionnaire is the same way. They can fill it out right on their phone, and they can upload documents right into the questionnaire. So some of the portals have really done a really good job of automating that documentation gathering very easily for you. As when you send out your questionnaires, they can fill that out. Gets
Right.
down to the have W-2s, and if you did, you can upload the W-2s right into that section.
Right. What portal do you use?
I use Liscio.
I've also wondered about, along that same line, is making a better bot. A bot that, is not so body. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah,
But a bot
I would agree. I'm not good at that piece, though. I'm not good at setting up the AI piece. I'm
oh, no,
still
me
learning.
neither. But I'm looking
But
for
I
it.
do, I do know that, I mean, I don't know if any of you've heard of CPA Chat GPT. It's strictly for the accounting and tax industry. It's really inexpensive for a year. Well worth the money I've already paid for it because it's current and it's strictly in our industry. So you're not out there in Google land trying to figure out what the answers are. It
True.
literally will give you the answers that you need, and it will not only give you the answers, but it will tell you where it pulled it from. It will give you the site that it pulled it from.
Good.
So that's very important that you have that clarification.
Yeah, that's really important to have the sources outlined over there, because the way AI works right now, and just go back a little bit to what Nemanja, did I say your name right? About the AI integration. So you're able to assign documents where this AI chat GPT or AI integration will get data from. So you could feed it information, and it could just get all the answers from that documentation or your website to assign. But yeah, there's still issues when it comes to how legit the information. Yeah. So I mean, we're gonna get there, but it's gonna take some time, and like when I chatted with you, Ina, right? You
Yeah.
were talking about automation of Zoom or like calls and getting
Right.
it transcribed into something that you could use right away, use into your CRM.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because there's so much time that I'm taking to get ready for a one-to-one, to documenting the one-to-one, to sending a follow-up to the meeting. I mean, you got my follow-up thing. I mean, I got a template now that I can just copy and paste and customize. But, so it saves me a little bit of time, but it's still labor intensive. And so, yeah, I'd like to be able to make that a much easier process. And to speak what, and Najimi says that I think that's very important to be able to actually get the documents that you need, share the documents, all those kinds of things. As I move into, not leaving altogether, but adding on to my support with businesses as their CFO, also doing like course content, some educational offerings for bookkeepers and accountants, some advisory service and some other things. I want them to be able to navigate my website and, do that with, using a bot or something, something where they can ask instead of an FAQ page where you have to search and you have to put in stuff, But I mean, as far as a bot, is there a lot of time involved in teaching it to talk like you, to think like you, to?
My website now has a bot on it that I can utilize, and I
Oh,
haven't.
cool.
Yeah, I just rebranded my entire website, and it stood up last month. About 2 weeks. It's been up about 2 weeks, and it's the same company. They just, redid everything. But I just realized this week that it has a bot, and I'm like, how do I use it?
Right.
And it's for frequently asked questions, things that I don't have to answer, that they can just get the answer, and it takes that away from me when they can get it right off my website. So,
See, then you become their go-to person for resources.
And I hope so.
That's what we want.
Beautiful thing. Yeah.
Right. They can say, okay, let's not always Google everything. Let's go to each
Let's go
one
to
of
Felicia.
us. Yeah.
Let's go to Felicia's website. She'll give me the answer, and I don't even have to talk to her.